What if I told you that losing is actually a good thing? Hear me out. Do you find yourself letting fear of failure hold you back from achieving your goals? Well, guess what? It's time to let go of that fear, my friend. That's right, I'm talking about the fear of losing. A fear that really bothers Marc. You see in this chapter. The truth is, when you think about losing as a failure, you're going to get stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and second-guessing yourself. It's going to be hard to move forward with your goals because every time you try something new, you'll be thinking, what if it doesn't work? Instead of, what if it does work? But when you learn how to think about losing as an opportunity instead of a failure, well, then things start getting exciting. You can take risks without worrying about what people might think if they fail. Instead, the only thing that matters is how quickly you can learn from your mistakes and try again. And with practice comes success and confidence in knowing that even when things don't go exactly as planned, there's still a good learning experience, right? Okay, without further ado, let's see what Marc went through when it comes to facing his fear of joining the Jiu-Jitsu tournament. Enjoy, I'll see you on the other end. Chapter 13, Consistency. Well, what are you going to do? Uncle Jake asked. I knew he was going to ask me that. Today was the last day to sign up for the Jiu-Jitsu tournament. And Uncle Jake wasn't going to forget it. Part of me had thought that if I just ignored it and didn't say anything, then maybe by the time Uncle Jake remembered the tournament, it would be too late to sign up. I should have known better because it was the first thing Uncle Jake asked me about this morning. But it was fine. I had been thinking about what Uncle Jake told me. I was afraid of losing. But Uncle Jake told me that being afraid of losing, it's okay. And even if I lose, I would learn. But I was still nervous about it. Can I tell you at the end of Jiu-Jitsu class tonight? You are going to have to, because today is the last day to sign up for the tournament, Uncle Jake said. Okay, I will. When I got to Jiu-Jitsu class, we warmed up, worked on some new moves, and then did some training. In between drills, I talked to Nora. She's a year younger than me, and it's a lot smaller than I am. But she is really good at Jiu-Jitsu. She's been doing it for a long time, and she does all kinds of competitions. She asked me if I was going to enter the tournament. Are you doing it? I asked her. Of course I am, she said without any hesitation at all. It was kind of amazing. Here was Nora, younger than me and smaller than me, and yet she wasn't afraid at all. Are you? She asked again. Well, I'm thinking about it. Thinking about it? What is there to think about? She said. Well, training and, preparation, that kind of stuff. Training and preparation? What do you think we do in here every day? Every time we train, we are preparing to compete. She did have a good point there. Finally, I got up the courage to ask her if she was scared. Only I didn't use the word scared. I used the word nervous. I think I was scared to use the word scared. Do you get nervous? Of course I get a little nervous, Nora said. But we do jiu-jitsu all the time, so there isn't too much to get nervous about. It's like training, only everyone tries really hard. But other than that, it's just jiu-jitsu. There isn't anything to be nervous about. What about losing? Don't you get nervous that you might lose? Might lose? I've lost plenty of times. What about all those medals and trophies you have won? I asked. There were pictures all over the academy of Nora with trophies and medals. Sure, I won those times, but there have been plenty of times when I lost too. I don't have pictures of those times, but I have lost more than I have won, especially when I first started competing. And you don't mind losing? I don't like it, but I don't mind it either. I know that if I don't compete, I can never win. That is really losing. Here was a 5th grade girl telling me almost the exact same thing as Uncle Jake. That's it. I was going to compete. That's what I think too, I told her, wanting to sound a little tougher than I was. That is why I'm going to do this tournament. Awesome, it would be fun, she said. After that, I trained really hard for the rest of class. Really hard. Every time I sparred someone, I imagined myself competing in the tournament at the end of the summer. I try not to give up any positions, and I try to get everyone I trained with to tap out. By the end of class, I was sweating pretty hard. Uncle Jake came in to pick me up from class. Well, he said, yes, Uncle Jake, I'm going to compete. As soon as I said those words, I felt kind of different. I felt nervous, but at the same time, I felt kind of good. That's what I like to hear, Uncle Jake told me. You will get a lot out of it, you see. When we got home, Uncle Jake came out to the garage with me and helped me do some work on my old rusty bike. Actually, the bike wasn't that rusty anymore. The rims looked great, the handlebars were done, and the frame was about halfway cleaned up. It's starting to look pretty good, isn't it, Marc? Uncle Jake asked me. It is. I never thought it could look like this again, and it doesn't seem like it's taking that much time. That's the way it is supposed to feel. But if you think about it, you have probably worked on this bike for 20 hours. You think so? I know so. You have been working on it for over a month for a half hour to an hour at a time. So yes, it's been at least 20 hours of work so far. It doesn't feel like that much, I told Uncle Jake. That's because you broke it down and maintained consistency. Maintain what? I asked. Consistency. You see, instead of trying to do this whole big project at one time, you just put in a little work here and there, chipping away at it each day. That way, it didn't feel like a ton of work. And yet you look up now and can see all the progress you have made. Yeah, it really hasn't seemed like too much, even though there were some nights when I didn't want to do it. You didn't want to, but you did. That makes the difference. That's discipline. You know, that's what I did in college this year. When I would get a big assignment, I would work on it a little bit each day, just for an hour or so. In a week, I had done 7 hours. In 2 weeks, I was about done and had time to review and revise my work. Some of the other students wouldn't start their assignments until a couple of days before they were due. Then they would be scrambling to get them done and wouldn't be able to turn in their best work. And they would have to work 15 hours straight on one thing, which can get boring. So that is what you do whenever you can. You break down big projects into small chunks and work on them a little bit every day. It's like cleaning my room too. Really? Yes, if I clean my room every day, it only takes a few minutes each time. But when I don't clean it for a week, all of a sudden it takes an hour to clean. Exactly. Now, if you also have to remember that there will be times when you don't have a choice, sometimes you just have to focus and work on something for a long time. Like if you get a project late or something unexpected happens. One time when I was on a trip, my water heater broke, flooded my apartment, and ruined the floor. When I got home, I had to pull out the old floor and put a new one in, all before my next trip. I worked 36 straight hours to get that done. So even though a warrior likes to plan things out and break them down into small pieces, you don't always get that option. But if I have the option, I should plan, break it down into pieces, and do it in small chunks, right? Exactly. Now, let's go get some dinner, Uncle Jake said. Okay, malt shop? He asked, knowing I would definitely want to go to my favorite restaurant. Yes, I said, immediately thinking of some food. What secret did Uncle Jake tell Mark when he has to handle the big project? The secret is to break down a big project into smaller chunks and work on them a little bit every day. That way, it didn't feel like a lot of work, as long as Mark can maintain consistency working at it. According to Uncle Jake, how many hours did Mark put into his old bike in total? That's right, at least 20 hours of work. How did Uncle Jake work on his big assignment in college? Yeah, he worked on it a little bit every day, just for an hour or so. Last question, where did they go in the end of this chapter for dinner? That's right, they went to Malt Shop, Mark's favorite restaurant. I hope you enjoyed this week's story. Instead of seeing losing as a failure, think of it as a learning opportunity instead. If you win, it means whatever you do, it's working. Keep going. But even if you lose, you learn what doesn't work so that next time you can avoid it. So either way, you win or you learn. You're in a better place than if you never tried at all. So stop seeing failure as something to be feared and start seeing it as an opportunity for growth. I know this isn't always easy to hear, but the sooner you get rid of your fear of failure and start thinking about loss as a learning opportunity instead, the better off you'll be in every aspect of your life. If you like this series, make sure you smash that like button, comment, and subscribe. Apparently, it helps with the YouTube algorithm to push it out to more people who might enjoy this video. I'll very much appreciate that. Moving on, you know, Mark always works hard, especially when Uncle Jake's around. Next week, he's going to get something he's longing for a long time. A day off with no workout and no working at all. How do you think it'll turn out for Mark? Stay tuned and I'll see you next week for the Warrior Kid Read Aloud. Until then, take care. Bye for now.